Oh, hi, Jacob. Where have you
Hey,
been?
how are you?
Oh,
Israel, we're at the throw.
can't hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me? You still can't hear me?
Oh,
Hello?
one
Can you
second.
hear me?
Oh, yeah, no, I do. Good. I'm good.
Yeah. Well, we were in Eretz Yisrael.
Oh,
Nice
oh,
place to be.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a little early, 6 a.m. In Israel to do this.
Yes,
Although I did
I
do
would think
some
so.
shiurim that were 2 a.m., but 2 a.m. is I go to
Hello,
sleep.
Yeah.
Hey, Mario.
welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Good to be back. Well, sort of. We were in Eretz Yisrael, so it's always
Mhm.
good to be. What page are we on, by the way?
I think it's 228.
28. Oh, that's what I have right now. Okay. Could that be? Oh, maybe I was looking at, okay. All right.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everybody. We are in halachos related to home maintenance on Shabbos, page 255.
Oh, boy. Uh, sorry.
Finished the opening containers. We did that all last week
2 weeks ago.
or 2 weeks.
No, last week.
No, last week. Last week,
Hmm.
255. In the previous shiurim, we have studied halachot that apply to preparing food on Shabbos. Now we'll move on to discussing halachot that apply to other activities inside the home, sweeping and washing the floor. During the time of Chazal, many houses had earthen floors and dust would rise into the air. In order to prevent this, it was common to sprinkle water on the floor. The Gemara Masechtas Shabbos quotes a dispute among the Tanoim regarding both this activity and sweeping the floor on Shabbos. According to Rabbi Eliezer, sprinkling water on the floor and sweeping are biblical violations. Whereas according to Chachamim, these are rabbinic prohibitions, due to the concern that one may fill in holes in the ground, which is a violation of the Malach of Bonah. So it's a gzeira to prevent Bonah. Torah Rabbanah Machabed, sweep, marbitz, which is sprinkling this water. Shagag b'Shabbos chayiv chatas. If you did it unknowingly, you didn't know that it was Shabbos, you didn't know that these were prohibited, you bring a chatas. Hazid b'yontiv, and if you were mazid on Shabbos, it doesn't say it, but you would be killed with skila if there was edim asra. If you're mazid on yontif, you're like your aboim, you get malchus. Div Rabbi Eliezer. It's all rabbinic. The Gemara continues with two leniencies regarding sprinkling water on the floor. First, this prohibition does not apply in a city where there are no earthen floors, since the concern of smoothing out holes when sprinkling water doesn't apply. Second, there's no prohibition, according to Rabbi Shimon, who permits performing activities which may unintentionally cause malacha, right? Dover shem iskave. The Gemara concludes that the halacha follows Rabbi Shimon, so sprinkling water on the floor is permitted. Amemar shar zilcha b'mechuza. Maimar permitted doing this when you had dusty floors, you could sprinkle water. Amar Taimamai, Amar Rabbanan, why did the Chachamim say in the first place you're not allowed to do it, Dilmasi Lashvi Gumois? Because you might fill in holes. Hacha lekagumos, but in this city we don't have this. Tana isha chachama marbetzes beis b'Shabbos. A smart woman sprinkles water on Shabbos. Ve'a'id is fear like Rab Shimon shari afilu chatchila. Initially, the Chachamim said she should wash different kalim in different places. So it was sort of a dover shemis kavin. Now that we say that you're allowed to do a dover shemis kavin, you can even l'chadchila put water on the floor because your intention is not to fill in the holes. So today you can do it directly. The Rishonim dispute whether this leniency applies to sweeping the floor. Elsewhere, the Gemara indicates that brooms for sweeping the floor are considered muktzah, presumably because sweeping a dirt floor is prohibited. Brooms, mutal tatlan b'Shabbos. It means if they're made of like shmatas, but they're not muktzah. Aval shel tamara. But if they're made from date palms, lo. Rabbi Ezra Omer av shel tamara. You can use date palm types of brooms. Now, b'maya skina, what are we talking about? Ilem l'tzrach gufo l'tzrach makomo. Now, we're talking about moving this broom. Now, do you need the broom or do you need the place? Now, if you need the place or the object itself, is that where Rav says that if the broom was made out of date palms, you can't do it? Rav Rav holds like Rava, who allows you to move something which is a kli shemlachto le'isser. Look at the footnote. A kli shemlachto le'isser is defined as a utensil whose primary function is for an activity that's prohibited on Shabbos. According to Rava, and this is the accepted halacha, one may not move such an item for any purpose, other than when using in a permitted manner, or when one needs the place where it's situated for some other purpose. A kli shemlachto le'heter, such as the case of a broom made of fine wool garments, is normally used for a permitted purpose, and may be moved for other purposes as well on Shabbos. We will discuss the rules of muktzah in upcoming volumes. But here, it seems that a broom is considered a kli shemlachto le'heter. And today, according to all opinions, since all our floors are tiled and may be swept, so it's certainly not muktzah. Varav ela machmalat sail. You move the broom from the sun to the shade, and is it b'halem Rabbi Elazar avshel tamar that even a date palm broom? So la'olam machmas sail, you're moving the broom out of the sun. Ema v'chenam Rabbi Elazar, and so too, because otherwise the broom will get damaged. So it's prohibited to do that according to Rabbi Elazar. According to the conclusion of the Gemara, a broom is classified as an item that is normally used for a prohibited action, and therefore may not be moved out of the sun on Shabbos, but only when using it for a permitted purpose. This indicates that sweeping the floor is prohibited on Shabbos. The Bahag has an alternate version of the Gemara in which Rabbi Elazar permits moving and using brooms, as one does not intend to fill holes. This is the version of the Bahag. Machabdos shel milas, brooms made out of wool, mutar l'tatlan b'Shabbos, they're not muktzah. Disturi v'nistav de kafshu b'starki. These other brooms that are used to sweep mats, they're also permitted to move. Aval b'shul tamara lo, but brooms made out of this date palm can't be moved. Dahainu rechva dehutza. Rabbi Elazar Emer Afishel Tamara, he permits moving the date palm broom. Servalak Rab Shimon Domer Davar Shem Iskavin Mutter. because he holds that if you do a malacha but you're not kavana, so you have no kavana to fill the holes. The kanish birikva. So when you're sweeping with a broom, your intent is not to fill any holes. So based on the heter of Rab Shimon of Dover Shem Kavana is mutter, you're allowed to do it. The Rif has the same version of the Gemara as the printed one, which prohibits sweeping the floor on Shabbos. But he explains that this Gemara follows the view of Rav Yehuda, permits the Dover Shem Miskavin. But since we pass in halacha according to the view of Rab Shimon, sweeping the floor is permitted. The Rif says that. Vayidna the Kaimel and Rab Shimon. Right? The Rif codifies, today we pass like Rab Shimon. Domer Dover Shem Miskavin mutter. Having the Mechadeh Shel Tomorrow, Dover Shem Lachto Leheter. Therefore, the broom made out of the wool is not muktzah because it's a malachto leheter. You can move it no matter what. But Rashi writes that unlike sprinkling water, sweeping the floor is prohibited, even according to Rabbi Shimon. As a psik reisha, it will inevitably cause holes to be filled. Even Rabbi Shimon is moed to be psik reisha that it's usher. Right? Brooms shel tmar kein shalanu. L'chabed is advised to sweep the house. The usher mishum ashvi gumois, because you're filling holes. The moed of Rabbi Shimon psik reisha v'lo yomos. Rabbi Shimon in the Dover Shem Miskavein holds that if the thing that we don't want you to do is going to happen no matter what, then you're not allowed to do it. Tosfos quoted the leniency of the Bahag, but also concluded that sweeping the floor on Shabbos is in fact prohibited for a different reason, as sweeping moves earth. Bahag Shari Kibud, he says the Bahag permitted sweeping, me'ai taima, filu bidu hunsin, even with our brooms that are, made from date palms. But ve'ein nira l'ri de beper kol hakelim. It doesn't seem correct according to the Ri. Mashma de pshita lei, it was clear to the Ri the lekaman de shori, that there wasn't anybody who permitted. Afil Rab Shimon mishum davim lachto le'isr. If it was permitted to sweep, it would be a malachto leheter. Sweeping is also according to everybody. You're moving dirt from one place to the other. It's only sprinkling water where we would follow Rab Shimon to permit. The Mordechai explains further that moving earth on Shabbos is a violation of muktzah. The Shara Tzion adds that this is also may make a hole in the ground, which would violate bona rabbinically. Tosfos lo biru divrei makavana mishum tiltul offershtein min hamuchen. The Tosfos didn't say why they prohibited it. Is it a muktzah problem because the dirt hadn't been prepared to move from before Shabbos, or mishum asiyas guma yedei chafira, or you're making a ditch. That would not be an Isser Deraisa. You don't need the Guma. Umagra mashma, that covenant mishum tiltul offer. The way the Gra learns, it looks like it's a muktzah problem. Mashma Mordechai. The year the Tavayu is new. Both reasons that you're making a hole by digging, it's a muktzah. The Rambam also agrees that sweeping an earthen floor is prohibited on Shabbos for a third reason. He maintains that sweeping may lead to intentionally filling holes, although this concern does not exist when sprinkling water. He adds that sweeping a stone floor is permitted, as the concern of filling holes does not exist with a stone floor. Also, you can't sweep the dirt floor, because you make holes, or you fill holes, smooth it, unless it's paved with stones. You can sprinkle water on the dirt floor. There you're not concerned that you're going to fill holes. It's a davar shem miskavin. Sefer HaTruma argues that even sweeping a stone floor is prohibited on Shabbos, either because it's still possible to fill holes in between stones, or because of the concern that if this was permitted, people would not distinguish and would sweep earthen floors as well. So it's a gzeira. Sefer HaTrum is a rishon afilu bayish yesh l'ritzvas avonim, right? Even a stone floor. Also l'chabed the shayich, you can't sweep. The shayich hashvegumas ben ashuros, because you could still fill in holes between. Ben aroitim l'chol hapochos. The reason they prohibited to sweep even a stone floor is because you'll forget and sweep a dirt floor. So in summary of these Rishonim, you can see they all went to town with this. The Bahag and the Rif permit sweeping even an earthen floor, but many Rishonim prohibited this. Of those who prohibit sweeping earthen floors, the Rambam explicitly permits sweeping a stone floor, where the Sefer HaTruma prohibits. The Beis Yosef of Yosef Karo, in his commentary on the Tur, rules that one should not sweep an earthen floor on Shabbos, except in a place where a custom is developed to rule leniently. And he comes out like the Rambam, that sweeping a stone floor is permitted. Let's see the Beis Yosef. Ulin alocha, given sharabam varosh maskimim, less or l'chabed karka, since the Rambam and the Rosh agree that it's prohibited to sweep dirt. She'enim merutzafach, so which is unpaved. Hachi naktina, we paskin that way. Ela imkenu mokum poshet minig latir, unless the minig in the local communities to permit. The kivin to midi rabbananu, since the whole prohibition is rabbinic. V'yesh lehem gedolim al mishi yismochu. There are gedolim that you can rely on. Ein moichin b'im, you don't have to protest those that sweep. He says karka merutzaf, a stone paved floor. Naktinan laharos lechatchila lahatir bo kibud. The Beis Yosef says lechatchila you can sweep it because the Harif Rambam Shari. Now, when the Beis Yosef, Rav Yosef Karo, wrote his Shulchan Aruch, he ruled accordingly, but he added the lenient view of the Bahag and the Rif, permitted sweeping even a dirt floor. Also l'chabed abayis, elam ken akarka merutzav, unless the floor is paved. V'yesh matir afilu ein merutzav. So he brought, as the Yesh Omrim, even the Rif and the Bahag who said you could do so. Here, of course, comes the Ramah. You thought we were in good shape, but not quite. He says the Ashkenazic practice is to prohibit sweeping even a tiled floor, but to permit asking a non-Jew to sweep, which normally, right? Normally, we don't tell a non-Jew to do anything we're not allowed to do, right? There's certain heterim, the tzibur is uncomfortable, choyle, right? So he says, Yesh machmir afilu b'merutzav, says the Ramah. We are machmir not to sweep even in a stone floor. V'chei nohagin. He says that's the minig, v'ein l'shanois. And we can't change the minig. Just to remind everybody, Ramah lived in Krakow, which is where all of our ancestors basically came from. I mean, those of us, even Lithuania was part of Poland. Poland was certainly part of Poland. Galicia was part of Poland. The Czechoslovakia was essentially the Austro-Hungarian Empire. It's all included there. It was all under this.
I don't think Lithuania was completely included in all these things.
Well, it was Poland. Lithuania was part of Poland.
Which part? When? Which year?
Lithuania was part of Poland.
Bernie, you're starting a world war here.
No, I'm just saying. There's no question.
Hungary's not part of Poland.
Say again?
Hungary for sure is not part of Poland.
No, but you have to understand what I'm talking about. The practices, Belzer Hasidim that were in Galicia, Satmar Hasidim that were not, they dress the same, they have the same, it's the same, the Austro-Hungarian Empire for a while ruled over all these lands.
For a time, yeah, for a period of time, yes.
They did. And Lithuania
Tanner
definitely.
says Lithuania and Poland were united for over 200 years as the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, 1569 to 1795. A real union of two states, not one country being part of the other.
I remember.
So there
yeah.
you go.
There's no question of
Right.
Lithuania. Because remember, the Pale of Settlement, Jews lived in.
It was during in 1700 it finished, right?
No, but
What-
the Ramah, what I'm saying is the Ramah lived in the 1580, 1600. That's when the Ramah wrote. So what I'm saying is
Customs are
the,
similar.
our customers, we follow the Ramah, Ashkenazim, and pretty much, all the Ashkenazim, the Jews in France, the Jews in England, they all came from Eastern Europe, Eastern and Central Europe. There were no Jews in England. They were allowed to be brought in after Oliver Cromwell, 1660. So you have a new era where Jews are invited back. And where did they come from? They came primarily from Central and Eastern Europe. That's why Ashkenazic minhag is the way it is. It's V'chein noagim bein l'shanas. Miu. Al yedei eno Yehudi mutter. He says a non-Jew can do it. V'chein al yedei beged o matlis o knaf avaz. He says that you know those brooms that have like a cloth. We don't have. You have a broom, but there's like
Swiffer, the Swiffer. It's called the Swiffer.
it's got a soft
It
cloth.
has a soft cloth.
No,
It's
That's
called a
that's-
Swiffer. It's what it,
Yeah.
Okay, so the Ramah says if you use a soft garment, cloth or duck feather, that would be permitted. But our stiff brooms, that's more problematic.
Yeah, but filling the holes, it's a moot point. No one's filling holes anymore.
I know, but Harold, you saw before that the Sefer HaTruma said it was a gzeira that if we allow you to do it on a stone floor, you're going to do it on a dirt floor. So it's a gzeira.
Where can you find a dirt floor?
Up in camp.
Zimbabwe? I don't know. Where do you find a dirt floor?
I mean, the later poskim don't pass.
Let's see the
later
Mishnah
pos-
Berurah. Let's see the Mishnah Berurah. Let's
Well,
see.
there were probably dirt floors up until the time of the First World War.
Absolutely.
Maybe a little later. Yeah.
The Mishnah Berurah explains the various reasons to prohibit sweeping the floor, as well as the rationale to permit asking a non-Jew to sweep, or to sweep using a soft broom. L'chabed Abayis, the Mezis offer mimkomo. He says you're moving dirt from one place to another. That's one. Gam mashva hagumas bechibudo. You're filling up holes in your sweeping. Shemismalim hagumas bayis may offer. Holes are being filled from dirt, and therefore havi binyan. The Mishnah Berurah is obviously talking about a dirt floor. Vafal God, didn't you see even in Fiddler on the Roof? So the wedding scene where they're dancing with the bottle dance, and you see dust, right? I mean, it was a wooden floor, but it was full of dust.
I think they were outside.
No, they were not outside. The floors were dusty.
Here, it says this.
It says what?
Here, you can look at,
Here, Susie says, dirt floors were the norm for most people globally for millennia. Common in peasant homes until the mid-1300s in Europe, but remained prevalent in many poorer or rural areas worldwide well into the 20th century, and still exist today, slowly replaced by materials like wood, tile, or concrete.
Only exists today. No place where they're having shiurim on not sweeping the dirt floors. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. Even though you have not kavana to fill the holes. The psik ratio, it's a psik ratio, it's going to happen no matter what. That the problem is he's going to be so busy sweeping that you're going to have kavana to fill the holes. Then he explains the Ramah why ayadei ena Yehudi mutter. Hayno afilu b'shenim merutzev. This is talking about even a dirt floor. Dahu ena miskavin chabid abayis. His intention is just to sweep. V'aftahu psik reisha leading agumos mutter ayadei ena Yehudi. Even though it's a psik reisha that the holes are going to get filled, it's permitted by a non-Jew. De ba'amir le'ena Yehudi lo kabdin and kulahai. When it's amira to a non-Jew, when you're speaking to a non-Jew, we're not that concerned. This principle that a malacha that constitutes a psik reisha may be permitted to ask a Gentile to perform on Shabbos will be discussed in future volumes in the Shirim on asking a Gentile to perform loch on Shabbos. Hakalim, the brooms that are soft, Ratzlober, the Kevin Shem Kalim, and a notel b'mraka avak shalamala. It just like picks up the superficial dirt. It's not going to create the filling up the holes. What is the halacha with respect to sweeping for Ashkenazim today? Since no one has dirt floors anymore, is there a basis for being lenient? The Bir Halacha, who is the Mishnah Berurah, addresses this question and rules that even according to the stringent ruling of the Ramah, if all or most of the houses in the city have wooden floors that have no holes that could be filled while sweeping, sweeping is permitted. And the source of this is the Gemara in source 2. Says the Bir Halacha. Yesh machmir afilu b'merutzev. There are those that are Ramah brought that there are machmirim even by stone. Ein b'mishnah berurah datamu mishum de gazrinim merutzev otu einem merutzev. One gzeira is if we allow you to sweep a stone floor, you'll come to sweep a dirt floor, which we learned from the Sefer Truma. V'nei lefi zeh, based on this, in kol batei ha'ir, or kol panim rubam, the majority, merutzafim bavonim or b'levenim, they are stone floor or bricks. V'kol shekenim heim mechutz b'kreishim, and certainly if they're covered by carpet. Boards. I'm sorry, wood. Wooden floors. Efshar de mutter lachabed. He doesn't say mutter. He says efshar de mutter. The loy gozra rubam and miyuta. We don't make a gzeira because of when the majority don't have dirt floors. The lo al irzum and neir acheres, not because of this city and another city. Ulam yeshod sfra acheres b'sefer truma. There's another reasoning sham debein haroivdim between the rows, between stone and stone, or let's say in our wood floors that are pegged and grooved, right? So there are slits in between the boards. Do we have that? No, we don't have slits here. Yesh chash, we're concerned that when you sweep, you're going to push dirt into there and you're going to smooth it. Ashri gumos. I don't know what we would say about the Gemara on Kuf Nun Aleph. There, the Gemara wasn't concerned at all about tile floors. Rak mitzad michlif. The only problem was if you allow if you allow stone floor, you're going to sweep a dirt floor. Ulay yesh lomar. The shama tikra shel merchatz nasa mikroshim. There, the roof of bathhouses was made from beams, shemuhud kim hetiv zelazeh, that are connected closely. Mashenkin bavonim, which is not true by stone. Fizeh, kishabat ye'eru kulam oruva merutzafim bekroshim ein lachmir b'mitzofim. There's no reason to be goizer if all of the floors are covered by beams. Begam lisra muktzah, there's no muktzah in lachush. Echad mishumash because of our Rajba, the mutter lefanoisam, you can move brooms. Davi kigrav shalrei. It's like a bed pot, a chamber pot. which you're allowed to move because it smells. You can remove it from the house on Shabbos. And a broom, you can do the same thing. You're moving it in a different way. Shabbos. Okay. Shmir Shabbos Kilchasa rules like the Bir Halacha, as do nearly all the contemporary poskim, that you're allowed to sweep. That includes the Aruch HaShulchan, Rav Shimon Eider in Hilchos Shabbos, the Machzeh Eliyahu, the Nishma Shabbos, the Ptini Halacha, Rav Eliezer Melamed. So, seems to be the consensus. He adds that sweeping even a paved yard is prohibited, since most yards are not paved. So you don't have this heter of, rove of the floors in a city are not dirt. He says, Osir l'tateh mokum she'ein merutzav. First, the Shmir Shabbos says you cannot sweep a dirt floor. Bein b'bayis, bein b'chutz, whether it's in the house or a courtyard. Im rov habatim b'oseh mokum einem merutzafim. If most of the homes are not tiled, kimo b'machne ohalim, like a tent place, also l'tateh b'bayis gam kasher merutzaf. If your tent or house has a stone floor, but the majority of these places in this area where you live don't have a stone floor, you would be prohibited. And then he says, a courtyard, even if it's stoned or tiled, you can't sweep there. Most courtyards are not tiled. He says a sukkah that is built on a tiled or a paved floor, you can't sweep there.
When it's built on a patio.
I guess the Eino Yehudi could.
When it was built on a patio, all patios are paved. Nobody has a patio that's not paved. It's not really a yard. It may be in the backyard, but it seems separate. Right.
Yeah, maybe he means built in a yard on the ground. He says, even if it's paved, sweeping a yard is prohibited even if it's paved, since most of the yards in the city are not paved. Okay, but ours is in a where our backyard is. It's cement there. Virtually all of that is cemented. Okay, so it's a shaila. I mean, we sweep the sukkah, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I know. He
Others are-
adds in a note that Rav Shlomo Zalman raised the possibility that the yard is considered an extension of the house, and therefore sweeping a paved yard may be permitted, as long as the majority of the houses in the city have flooring. So there you go. There's our leniency. Shamati Merav Auerbach, the Yiktachin Shem Rov Habatim Rutzafim. If most houses are paved, Kiaz Roim Es Achotzra Merutzefes Kem Shech Lebeis Merutzev. That's what Yaakov is talking about, like a patio that is adjacent to the house. And Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach treated that like the house itself. Kamimena Makura, even if it wasn't covered. The Lukas reading Chotzer Mutzefes Atushin Mutzefes. We're not goyzer, a paved chotzer versus an unpaved chotzer. And Rav Ovadia agrees with the lenient rationale and rules that even Ashkenazim, who follow the rulings of the Ramah, may now sweep non-earth floors, both in the house and in the yard. Kosev bebir aloch Hasham, she'efshe shebizman hazeh, shekol habatim rutzafim. Today, when all the houses are paved, nobody has, dirt floors. In Mokum Ligzor, there's no Gzeir. In the name of our friend Moreno Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, she'efshar shemrova batim rutzafim, that if the majority of the houses are paved, roim es achotza merutzefes ke'emshech l'bayis merutzef. It's considered part of the house. V'chein b'din lahakel. Kivan sheyesh b'zeh sfeik leheter. There are, in fact, three potential reasons to be lenient. Some Rishonim permit sweeping even a dirt floor. Some of those who prohibit sweeping a dirt floor permit sweeping a covered floor. And even those who prohibit sweeping covered floors may agree that this does not apply in a place where there are no dirt floors. So what he's saying, it's a triple suffix. He says you can be lenient. The Nishmas Shabbos Rav Simcha Bunim Cohen are also lenient. The Piskei Tshuva writes that one who wishes to be lenient has a base upon which to rely. Poskim also discuss whether one may sweep the sidewalk, street, or paved path in front of one's house. Here too, many of the sources mentioned are lenient, since most sidewalks and streets today are paved. Some Achronim raise another potential problem with sweeping, as pieces of the broom typically used in previous generations would often break off while sweeping, which would constitute soiser, destroying. Soiser is not forbidden at a biblical level, when performed without intent to construct something in its place, but it's still forbidden lechatchila on a rabbinic level. However, Rav Mordechai Eliyahu observed that this concern does not exist with our brooms. Lachen ein mokum la'achmir betatu habayis b'Shabbos. We don't have to be stringent. We don't have to worry about breaking the broom. Kibizman, like in the old days. It was made out of straw. The straw would break. The brooms are strong. The bristles of the broom don't break or become detached. There's a nice summary of all the shitos on page 264. What about washing the floor? Although we have seen leniencies regarding sweeping, the Gemara is more stringent regarding washing. The Talmud followed Rav Meir into the bathhouse. Bikesh ladiach karka. He wanted to wash the floor. Amar lo ein medichin. Rav Meir says you're not allowed to. Lasuch karka. He wanted to smear it with oil. Amar lo ein sachin. You cannot do that either. Karka bekarka mechalfa, because if you do it here on a tiled floor in the bathhouse, you'll come to do it on a dirt floor at home and be mashvegumos. So the floors in the bathhouses were paved, tiled, and the Gemara prohibited. Therefore, the Rambam rules accordingly that in order to ensure that one does not fill holes when washing an earthen floor, you can't wash a paved floor. In Sachinas HaKarka Filaya Rotzav Pavanim, you can't anoint with oil even a stone floor. Vein noivchin soy, you can't blow dust. Vein adichin so, you can't rinse it. Afil biyontav kol shkein b'Shabbos. Shlo yasek kederech shu oiseh b'chol. Number one, looks like a weekday activity. V'yovel ashvos gumos. You might come to fill holes. When you're doing it in a part of the floor that's not paved. Now, above we learned that the Rambam permitted sweeping a non-earth floor. The Maggid Mishmah explains that the Chazal were more stringent regarding washing the floor, as there is less of a need to wash the floor on Shabbos. The Maggid Mishra says, even though the Rambam was lenient regarding sweeping, but the washing, on Shabbos, your Shabbos meal will be disturbed if your floor is dirty, so you can sweep it, but you can't wash it. That's says the Shulchan Aruch, ein sachin sakarka v'lo madiknos, so you don't wash it. Afilu merutzev. The Mishnah Berurah explains that this prohibition applies even according to the Rishonim, who permit sweeping earthen floors, as when washing the floors is a great concern that one may end up intentionally filling holes. Tam kolele mishum dechashin lashos gumos. We're concerned of filling holes. Vafilu man deshari kibud b'Shabbos, even those that permit sweeping. Shani acha tekivin shirotz liapas sakarka. By the way, Mario, Steve
Yeah.
Uzdan wanted to join this year.
Who?
Steve Uzdan. So
Yeah.
I sent him the Zoom information. But is he not going to be allowed to go in
Yes.
unless you do something, or he's allowed to go in?
No, he's allowed. If he has the meeting number and the password, he's okay.
Okay. Kivin shirotz liafas akarka, he wants to beautify the floor. La sochato ladicha, he's washing it, he's rinsing it. Chayshinan shamayira gumos. We're concerned he's going to see holes. V'yishkach v'yavolosh vosam miskaven. He's going to be miskaven, have intent to fill the holes. Rav Ben Sina B'Shul rules that when there's a great need to wash the floor, if it's very dirty or in a hospital, one may do so. This is based on the explanation of Magid Mishma, that sweeping a paved floor on Shabbos is permitted due to the need to do so. Furthermore, there's also a possibility that since today earthen floors are rare, even washing the floor may be permitted. Ulam kasher meluchlechas biyoter. If it's very dirty, yesh latir ladicha b'chlofen, they permit washing it. Because of Magid Mishna shatam shlo gozer b'kibud, the reason they were not gozer by sweeping, hu mishum shekibud nochatz yoter ma'adacha. Sometimes you got to sweep urgently, and that's more urgent than washing. So based on that svara, we could say that if washing is needed, it's very dirty. You got to wash it all the time in a hospital. Dina kidin kibud, you could sweep. It's a heter. So the same thing, the same leniency we use regarding sweeping. If all the homes in the city are paved, you can wash the floor with a mop and water. With a mop, you're not going to squeeze anything. But you can't use a cloth. There, you're going to come squeeze it out. The subject, how to wash the floor and other services in a permitted manner on Shabbos without violating the Malach of Malabin, will be discussed in a later volume. Regarding the more general question as to whether washing the floor is prohibited today, when earthen floors are rare, the Orchot Shabbat explains, according to Rashi and Tosfos, who mention a leniency regarding sprinkling water, specifically in a place where there are no earthen floors, logically, it would also be permitted to wash the floor. However, since the Rambam does not make any such distinction, one should be stringent unless there's a great need. The same that the way Rav Ben Sion Abishol said. Regarding the issue of washing the floor when the majority of homes in a city are paved, it's based on the machlokas that we've learned. Lefi Rashi v'Tosfos, she'kelu b'rov batei merutzofim, they were makil, sprinkling water when the majority of cities were paved. Mistaver sheish lahakel af badachas ritzpa, that would be the same thing with washing the floor. Aval Rambam lo chilek klal, the Rambam never brought that up. The distinction between rov batei merutzofim and between ein rov batei merutzofim, whether the majority of the floors were paved or not. He made a chiluk between different activities. Regarding sweeping, he was lenient if it was paved, even when there was no The Rambam very clearly was stringent when it came to washing a stone floor. Therefore, even if the majority of the city had paved floors, if it's an emergency, it could be lenient when there's no schita. For example, sweeping is more urgent. If the sweeping was urgent, it would be like sweeping. That's a Rambam. In a great need, you can rely on Rashi and Tosfos. Sheikelu. They were lenient when when most of the town floors were paved. But we don't know for sure that the Rambam would have argued with that. If only a small part of the floor is dirty, the Shmir Shabbos Kalchasa quotes from Shlomo Zalman as permitting washing this area, not the whole floor. Maybe you could put some water where it's really dirty. And then to clean it in a permitted manner, which we said, you can't use a cloth because of schita. This is not considered washing the floor. We're talking about a paved stone floor, you could do it. Rav Ovadia Yosef, many other contemporaries poskim concur with this lenient ruling. Ovadia adds that washing a countertop is also not included in the prohibition. You can pour water on a dirty area of the floor. Use a water mop, which is not going to lead to squeezing. If something spilled on the floor, you can use a mop to clean it. Marble countertops, why we would think that would be? There's no gumos there, so it's not an isser. Rav Nissen Karelis disagrees. Only permits pouring water over the dirty areas, but not to use a mop. He writes that one may only use a mop to remove water or other liquid that's spilled on the floor. If by accident water spilled, or rain came in, you can drag the water from the floor using a rubber stick. You're not kavana to mop the floor, to remove the water. You can move water from water. Graf shel rei, you can wash a chamber pot which is full of feces or cotton shakel aretz. Let's say a child vomited. So he says it's prohibited. You can't wash it. The law adif me'adamim shebazara. When blood was in the Azara, they also couldn't go. Which was only permitted to clean due to the principle that rabbinic injunctions do not apply in the base of Mikdash.
So that's really pretty harsh. I mean, yeah. That's pretty harsh. You have feces or vomit on the floor.
But he says, you can dump water. But we have that's Rav Nissim Karelitz. He was an extreme machmir. The Shchut Hashani. And here there's a biography. He was the nephew of the Chazon Ish. Right. Okay. Stop here.
Okay.
And we'll continue cleaning next week, cleaning the house.
Ernie, send me Steve's cell number. I'll send him an invite if you want.
Okay. Well, hang on.